The galaxy had enjoyed peace for centuries. Its many species lived in their own territories, not knowing what lay beyond the stars. But everything changed one quiet night when an unknown ship appeared. It was not like any other ship the galaxy had ever seen. It was massive, its hull dark and unyielding. The moment it appeared on the radar, everything stopped. The galaxy was about to be shaken to its core. A small, uneventful patrol ship was the first to spot the giant shadow in the distance. The crew was confused at first, thinking it was some sort of error. But as the ship drew closer, their confusion turned to panic. The massive battleship, floating silently in the vast emptiness of space, was unlike anything they had ever imagined. It was as if a moon had come to life, and it was heading straight for the heart of the galaxy. "Is this real?" the captain whispered, staring at the radar screen. The crew was silent, eyes wide with fear. No one had seen anything like it, not in their wildest dreams. The ship didn't move in the way they expected. It wasn't a warship, not in the traditional sense. There were no fighters launching, no engines glowing bright with power. It was a presence, something far more terrifying. Word of the sighting spread quickly across the galaxy, and it wasn't long before other ships and stations confirmed what the patrol had seen. The battleship had been noticed by every species, from the largest spacefaring civilizations to the smallest mining colonies. It was only a matter of time before every planet in the galaxy knew, humanity had arrived. Within hours, fleets were mobilizing. Powerful warships and advanced civilizations scrambled to prepare themselves, but no one knew what they were preparing for. Some assumed it was an invasion, others feared it was a sign of war. But no one knew the truth. The only thing everyone agreed on was that the battleship was moving steadily closer to the center of the galaxy, as if it were on a mission. No one had the courage to stop it. But the most unsettling part? The ship didn't communicate. No messages were sent, no transmissions. It was as if the ship didn't need to explain itself. It didn't ask for permission, nor did it offer a reason for its arrival. It simply moved through space, like an unstoppable force. Fleets were sent to intercept the battleship. They tried to engage it, to force it to stop, but it was hopeless. The ship moved like a ghost, silent and unyielding. It didn't fire back, it didn't resist. Yet, the moment any ship got too close, it would be effortlessly destroyed by a powerful energy beam. Nothing could touch it. Nothing could stop it. The more the galaxy's civilizations tried to understand what was happening, the more they realized how little they knew about the humans behind the battleship. The ship was a mystery, and humanity itself was an enigma. What did they want? Why had they come? These questions filled the minds of every leader and strategist. The galaxy was filled with uncertainty, and fear was beginning to spread. Some believed humanity had come to conquer, others feared they had come to rule. But one thing was certain, the galaxy was trembling. Every civilization, every leader, every species, felt the weight of this new power. And no one knew how to stop it. The battleship's message was finally broadcasted. It wasn't much, just a single sentence, but it left the entire galaxy in shock. "We are coming." It was not a threat, not a warning, but a declaration. A message from the humans, sent across the stars. The galaxy now knew that the dawn of humanity had arrived. As the ship continued its journey, no one knew what would come next. Would humanity be a savior, or would they bring destruction? One thing was for sure, everything was about to change. As the battleship advanced toward the heart of the galaxy, an overwhelming sense of fear began to spread across the stars. The mighty powers of the galaxy, once proud and unshaken, began to crumble beneath the weight of uncertainty. It was no longer just a ship. It was a symbol of something greater, something terrifying. News of the battleship's arrival spread faster than light. From the largest cities on the grandest planets to the smallest colonies tucked away on forgotten moons, everyone had heard the whispers. There were reports of mass evacuations, panic in the streets, and entire fleets preparing for an unknown conflict. The universe was in turmoil, and no one knew how to respond. For the first time in generations, the great leaders of the galaxy came together in fear. The Galactic Council, a group once focused on diplomacy and peace, now found themselves at odds. They had no answers. No one knew who the humans were or what they wanted. The battleship had made it clear it wasn't there to negotiate. And its silence spoke louder than any message could. On the outer rim of the galaxy, the powerful Zorki Empire, a civilization built on advanced technology and ruthless warfare, sent their fleets to confront the incoming battleship. They were confident that their firepower would be enough to stop anything. But as their fleet approached the unknown ship, they found themselves in a deadly game. Every attempt to engage ended in disaster. The battleship didn't fire, but instead, it seemed to repel any attack with a force so powerful, entire ships were torn apart with ease. One of the Zorki generals, once known for his courage in battle, was shaken by the destruction. "It's not a weapon," he said, staring at the remains of his fleet. "It's something else. We cannot fight it. We must find another way." Meanwhile, the Andorran Federation, known for its diplomatic prowess, began to question whether the galaxy should prepare for war or try to understand the humans. Some of the Federation's leaders believed the battleship was an invitation, a test of strength or intellect. But others feared it was a harbinger of doom, and they were already beginning to gather their own forces, ready to face what they feared was an inevitable invasion. In the midst of the fear and chaos, one thing became clear: humanity's arrival was shaking the foundations of the galaxy. Species who had once been isolated, focused only on their own survival, now saw their futures entwined with the unknown force that had come to their doorstep. Old rivalries resurfaced, and new alliances were born out of desperation. The once peaceful galaxy was now a powder keg, ready to explode at any moment. As more fleets gathered at the battleship's destination, the fear was almost tangible. Communications from various worlds flooded in, each asking the same questions: what did humanity want? Why had they come? Was there a way to stop them? But there were no answers. Humanity's ship moved without a care, its journey unstoppable. Back on the planet Earth, the human fleet's leaders prepared for the inevitable confrontation. While the galaxy trembled in fear, the humans aboard the battleship were calm, even eager. They knew the power they held, and they were prepared to use it. But their intentions remained unclear. Were they conquerors or something else? Then, the galaxy received its first message from the humans. It wasn't a threat or demand, but a simple broadcast: we do not seek war. We seek only a place in this galaxy. The message sent shockwaves through the galaxy. It was not the declaration of an invader, but the words of a civilization that had arrived from the shadows. The questions now were deeper than before. Were the humans truly seeking peace, or were they simply preparing to take what they wanted by force? The fear among the galaxy's leaders grew even stronger. Some were convinced the humans could be trusted, while others believed they were nothing more than a ticking time bomb. But one thing was certain: the galaxy would never be the same again. A new power had arrived, and no one knew how to handle it. As the battleship continued its journey, every civilization in the galaxy held its breath, waiting for what would come next. Would humanity live up to its words, or would it unleash something far worse than anyone could imagine? The galaxy's fate now hung in the balance. The galaxy was on edge. Fear had spread like wildfire, and every corner of the universe was caught in a tight grip of uncertainty. The battleship, now a symbol of an unknown power, moved relentlessly toward the center of the galaxy. And with every passing moment, the tension grew. No one knew what humanity's true intentions were, and that fear was more dangerous than any weapon. While the galaxy prepared for war, the humans aboard the battleship remained quiet. They made no demands, sent no new messages, and continued their slow but steady journey. To many, it was as if they were testing the galaxy, watching how everyone reacted. Some speculated that they were waiting for a sign of weakness. Others believed that humanity was simply calculating its next move. Then, something unexpected happened. A broadcast came through. This time, it was not from the battleship itself, but from a small vessel that appeared in the far reaches of the galaxy. It was not armed, and it didn't look like a warship at all. It was a simple transport, carrying a message from the humans. The message was short, but it sent shockwaves through every listening station across the galaxy. "Humanity does not seek to conquer," the voice said. "We seek only to fulfill our destiny." The message left the galaxy's leaders in confusion. What was this destiny? Was humanity trying to tell them that they had a purpose beyond conquest? Some speculated that it was an offer of peace, a chance to negotiate. But most saw it as another challenge, another part of the humans' mysterious game. On board the battleship, humanity's leaders watched as the galaxy reacted to their message. The commander of the ship, a seasoned military officer named Admiral Elena Drake, was not one to show emotions. She had spent her entire life preparing for this mission, and yet, even she couldn't predict how the galaxy would respond. She stood on the bridge, staring at the stars outside, knowing that the next steps would determine humanity's future. In a quiet meeting with her officers, she spoke the words that no one dared to voice: "We have to show them that we are not here for destruction. But we must also show them our power. The galaxy needs to know that we are ready to stand our ground. If we do not, we will be consumed by it." The plan was simple, but dangerous. Humanity's battleship would not show weakness, but it would not destroy without cause. The crew knew that there were many factions out there that could challenge them, and they needed to make sure the galaxy understood the consequences of defying humanity's arrival. But there was more to the plan than just asserting power. Admiral Drake had a vision, one that was shared by only a few of her closest allies. Humanity had spent centuries in isolation, watching from the shadows as the galaxy's civilizations fought among themselves. It was not just about survival, it was about something much larger. Humanity's true purpose was to guide the galaxy, to bring order to the chaos. But it was a difficult truth, one that would not be accepted easily. While the galaxy scrambled to understand humanity's message, the fleet's engineers worked tirelessly on a new technology, one that would change the balance of power forever. It was a weapon, but not like any other the galaxy had ever seen. It was designed to disrupt entire star systems, to force civilizations to accept humanity's influence. Yet, it would only be used as a last resort. Humanity did not want to be seen as tyrants, but they would not allow anyone to challenge their place in the galaxy. The fleet moved forward, its course set toward the core worlds of the galaxy. There was no turning back now. But as they approached their destination, Admiral Drake received a new communication, a message from an unexpected source. The message was simple, but it carried a weight that no one had anticipated. "Join us, or face the consequences." It wasn't a threat, not in the way the galaxy had expected. It was an invitation. Humanity was offering an alliance. But the terms were unclear. Were they seeking to merge with other civilizations, or was this merely another step in their plan to assert control? No one knew for sure. As the battleship continued its journey, the galaxy held its breath. Would humanity's true plan be revealed? And if so, what would it mean for the future of the stars? The galaxy had never been so divided. The appearance of humanity's battleship had sparked fear, hope, and confusion, and now, the time had come for the galaxy to confront this new force. The battleship, a silent and impenetrable juggernaut, had advanced into the heart of the galaxy, and the galaxy's most powerful fleets were massing for a confrontation that would decide the fate of countless worlds. The great powers of the galaxy, from the proud and ancient Zorki Empire to the technologically advanced Raurith Collective, had all come together to face humanity's might. But there was a sense of unease in the air. Everyone knew that no fleet had ever stood against the battleship without facing near-total destruction. And yet, they could not stand idly by while humanity's silent vessel continued its advance. This was the moment of truth. In the war councils, the most brilliant military minds debated their options. Could they destroy humanity's ship? Was there a way to stop it? The Zorki Empire, with their massive dreadnoughts and laser weapons, was the first to take action. A fleet of 5 ships, each equipped with the latest weaponry, set out to intercept humanity's battleship. Their weapons were powerful, their technology state-of-the-art, but they were about to learn a brutal lesson. As the fleet approached the battleship, they were ready for battle. They charged forward, their weapons primed to fire, but the moment they came within range, the unimaginable happened. Humanity's battleship didn't move. It didn't even fire a shot. Instead, an invisible force slammed into the attacking fleet with the power of 1,000 suns. Ships were torn apart in seconds, their once pristine surfaces ripped apart like paper. The remaining vessels tried to retreat, but the same unseen force struck them down, one by one. The leaders watching from their command centers were stunned into silence. The Zorki fleet was obliterated without a single shot being fired in retaliation. It was as though humanity's battleship had not only defeated them, but had done so without lifting a finger. What kind of power was this? How could anything resist such force? Across the galaxy, leaders scrambled to understand what had happened. The message was clear now. Humanity's battleship was not just a war machine, it was something far more formidable. The remaining fleets hesitated. Some began to reconsider their stance, while others argued that this was a moment to make their move. But no one could agree on the next step. Meanwhile, on the battleship, Admiral Elena Drake watched the battle unfold on a series of screens. She felt nothing but calm. For her, this was not a moment of victory, but a necessary part of the plan. Humanity was not here to destroy, at least, not yet. They were here to show the galaxy their strength and to demand respect. But the battle had only just begun. As the galaxy's leaders debated their next move, another fleet arrived, this one, far more powerful than the first. The Ralrith Collective, known for their vast fleets and advanced weaponry, had prepared for what they believed would be the final confrontation. They had learned from the Zorki failure and had come up with a new strategy, unity. All their ships would strike at once, targeting the battleship from every angle. It would be their last chance to defeat the humans and restore order to the galaxy. The battle began. Ships moved with precision, weaving in and out of formations, each focusing on one specific weak point in humanity's defenses. Their weapons lit up the space around them, unleashing everything they had in a coordinated assault. It was the greatest battle the galaxy had ever seen, and for a moment, it seemed as though humanity might be overwhelmed. But then, as the attacks rained down, the battleship did something unexpected. It wasn't a counterattack or a defense, it was a shift. The ship seemed to fold in on itself, the energy emanating from its core growing so intense that the surrounding space itself warped. The Ralrith fleet was no longer fighting a ship, they were fighting an entire dimension. Weapons that should have shattered the hull of any other ship merely fizzled into nothingness. The galaxy watched in stunned silence as the battle continued. Humanity's true power was on display, and it was unlike anything anyone had ever seen. The Ralrith ships were forced to retreat, their once proud fleet scattered to the edges of the galaxy. The message was clear, the galaxy was no longer in control. Humanity's arrival was not just a challenge, it was the dawn of a new era. The battleship did not need to destroy, it only needed to show what it was capable of. And with every battle, the galaxy came closer to understanding that they were no longer the rulers of the stars. Humanity had come to claim their place, and nothing was going to stop them. The galaxy was trembling, and the showdown was far from over. With every victory, humanity's grip on the galaxy tightened. What would come next? Would the galaxy unite to stop them, or would they fall one by one, helpless against the might of the human battleship? The galaxy stood on the edge of oblivion. The great battle between the galaxy's powerful fleets and humanity's battleship had shaken the stars. Planets trembled, civilizations braced for the unknown, and alliances were formed in desperation. But humanity's message remained clear, their power was unstoppable. Now, the fate of the entire galaxy hung in the balance. The battleship, though seemingly invincible, had not destroyed the galaxy's strongest fleets outright. It had shown restraint, sparing those who had chosen to retreat. Humanity had made it clear that they were not here for mindless conquest, but their strength spoke volumes. Yet the question remained, what did they truly want? What was their ultimate goal? The leaders of the galaxy gathered, divided by fear and uncertainty. Some still believed humanity sought to rule, to conquer everything in their path. Others argued that they might offer an alliance, a chance to join them. But no one knew how to approach them. How could any civilization speak to the humans, let alone trust them? The Galactic Council, once the symbol of peace and unity, was now fractured. Some members were calling for total surrender, believing that humanity's power would eventually break all resistance. Others, particularly the more militant factions, argued that the galaxy's survival depended on fighting back. Perhaps humanity had a weakness, a chink in their armor that could be exploited. But a small, quiet group of leaders had begun to think differently. They saw an opportunity, an invitation from humanity itself. Through intercepted messages, they discovered a surprising truth: humanity had not come to the galaxy to enslave it. Instead, they had come to offer a choice. They had come to change everything. It was Admiral Elena Drake, commander of humanity's battleship, who delivered the final broadcast. The message was brief, but it carried the weight of everything humanity had been preparing for. "The time has come to decide," she said, her voice calm but unwavering. "We do not ask for your surrender. We do not demand your submission. But we offer you a choice. Join us, or be left behind." The message sent shockwaves across the galaxy. It was not a declaration of war, nor a plea for peace. It was a challenge, a test of the galaxy's strength, but also its willingness to change. Humanity was not offering to conquer, they were offering something far more difficult to comprehend: unity, but under their rule. They were asking for the galaxy to submit not to their weapons, but to their vision of a new order. A new era. The choice was not easy. The galaxy's leaders were divided. To join humanity would mean submitting to their vision, a radical new way of governing the stars. It would mean abandoning old alliances, reshaping their cultures, and accepting humanity's authority in exchange for their survival. To refuse would mean war, but even more devastating, the potential annihilation of entire civilizations. Could they risk everything for the chance at a new future, or would they cling to the old ways and fight to the bitter end? For some, the decision was clear. They had already witnessed humanity's power, its ability to reshape entire fleets with a single gesture. They saw the battleship not just as a symbol of strength but as a harbinger of a new way forward. They knew that resistance would lead to extinction. And so, a few brave leaders stepped forward, sending their fleets to meet humanity's call. They would join humanity, not as subjects, but as partners in a new order. But there were others who refused. The idea of submitting to humanity was unthinkable. Their pride, their history, their way of life, they could not let go of everything they had fought for. These leaders prepared for one final confrontation, knowing that it could mean the end of their civilizations, but they were willing to die fighting for their freedom. As the galaxy's two sides prepared for the final showdown, humanity stood at the ready. The battleship hovered at the edge of the core, waiting. The forces of those who had chosen submission gathered alongside humanity's might, while the defiant fleets prepared to face their fate. Admiral Drake stood on the bridge, watching the stars. Her decision had been made long ago, and there was no turning back now. The galaxy would either fall in line, or it would break itself apart in a final, desperate fight for survival. The universe was at a crossroads. The choice had been given, and the final chapter of the galaxy's story was about to unfold. And then, as the great fleets prepared for the ultimate confrontation, a silence fell over the galaxy. It was not the calm before the storm, it was the moment before the new age began.